What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Power of the Draw. I'm your host, Keyshawn. I'm with my boy Nick today. After a lot of technical difficulties, I'm finally up and running. Hopefully, it keeps us up. So we got to get through this quick. We're going to get straight to the point. So, CM Punk showed up on Monday Night Raw. How did you feel when you first saw Punk showing up on Raw?
It was very strange. Like it really doesn't feel real that he's back in WWE. It's just so surreal. It's like crazy. Like it's just like I'm like this is I was like watching it and like you're in the moment you're just like wow this is actually pretty sick. Like this is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty surreal. But honestly, yeah, Punk coming back was like you would have never thought this would happen,
No.
and like everyone thought that like he's gonna come out and just be pissed off and angry, but
Mhm.
he wasn't on that time at all whatsoever. Like I was surprised, but
Yeah.
it was a it was a pleasurable surprise.
Yeah, it was he even said in the promo, he's like, "Yeah, like, this isn't gonna sound like me." So, you kinda knew it was gonna be, like, probably, like, BS or whatever you think. But, it was to the point. I mean, like, he's back. He didn't really need to say much. He's just, "Oh, he's back." And plus, people are like, "Oh, why didn't he set something up?" I'm like, "Well, he literally got signed the day of the show, and creative didn't know about it." So he's like so they're like, "Yeah, well, now we have to prep stuff." So he's probably not gonna be on TV for a few weeks.
Yeah, I see him taking like a little hiatus for a little while, and people are gonna start wondering where'd he go, what's going on, and all this. Um, but my second question to you is like a lot of people are upset about his whole promo and things like that. Do you think possibly that this is like a work and maybe like he's gonna turn heel or something or something like that? Or
I don't they'd be silly to turn him heel because it would just be like, no one's gonna boo him. No one's gonna boo him, especially since he just came back. But I think what they're going to do is they're gonna lean into some of the AEW stuff when he starts his first feud with Rollins, which everybody thinks is the first feud coming out of Survivor Series and Raw. So I think they're gonna just save everything for that feud, and then because they don't want obviously they don't want him to say all this crazy stuff immediately when he gets it back, and it's like, oh great, like this is what we're gonna expect every night. I think if they manage expectations, like listen, he's back, but don't like just wait. Just wait. We're gonna take our time with this because this is the biggest return we've had in like 10 years. So let's just wait.
yeah, people want everything now. It's
Yeah,
so
exactly.
annoying.
That's the whole problem. Like, like just be patient. Like you'll get what you'll get the angry CM Punk at some point, but just not
Mhm.
right now.
Yeah, there's nothing to be angry about.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
He should feel grateful, if anything, that
yeah,
he's able to
exactly.
go back to WWE after all that's happened.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, people can call him a hypocrite all they want, but like doesn't matter. Like he has his devoted fan base,
Mhm.
and everybody who says, "Oh, like he's going back to a shittier company," it's like, dude, like the tribalism thing is not really a thing. Like it's so stupid,
It's
and it's
silly.
it's so stupid. It's like, dude, like I understand he got fired, but like if you can't watch that CM Punk return and feel like a joy of like, wow, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like you're like you either hate you're like you can't get past this childish hatred of something that really it shouldn't be this important in your whole life. Like, I get it. He left with a bitter taste in his mouth. And, he said for 10 years, he said all this shit about the company. But again, it's like, these guys are professional liars. Like they're always working like the fans because they know the second they say something negative, it's like, yeah, man, power to you, dude. It's like, no, dude, they're just working you because they know most people who watch AEW hate WWE, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, good, I'm gonna just work this guy, this crowd because they know it's they know it's a bullshit. Everybody would go back. Most people would go back if they had the chance.
Oh, 100%. You have Miro wants to go back. Andrade wants to go back. Ma-
Andrade started a backstage fight because he wanted to go back. He was trying to get fired.
Yeah, they want to go back. Like I, I see Punk like this whole tribalism thing is very annoying, very
Mhm.
annoying.
Absolutely.
Because I feel like it's a divide. Like the divide is like there's one group that's tied to the WWE, like how they do their sports entertainment thing, and
Mhm.
like they're so scarred by it that they just love pure like wrestling, like New Japan style wrestling. Like that's all they want now because they're so
Mhm.
sick and tired of WWE. But then there's the other group who's also sick of WWE. I feel like both sides are,
Mhm.
but like they they think that the stories and characters are very much needed to like have good television. You feel me?
Yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely. It
so like that. And it's weird because they both want the same things, but it's just how to go about it. It's just how.
because you know what it is? It's also like, if you come from WWE who have this mindset of like, this is the style I came up using, and then when you go out like on independence or you go to New Japan, you go to AEW, Ring of Honor, TNA, whatever. Um, then you go to a different company and it's like, oh, this is a completely different way of how I do things, and this isn't the way I'm accustomed to do things. So you're out of your comfort zone.
Mhm.
But with the whole AEW thing, like wanting to go to a New Japan direction, they should be their own combo of like New Japan and WWE. They should mix both because New Japan is basically I get it. Most people on the internet are gonna say, "Oh, they have some classic moments." I'm like, "Yeah, but it's with the same 3 people." It's either Okada, Omega it
Oh
was
my
Okada,
god.
Omega, or say Naito or Tanahashi. It was one
Mhm.
of those it was one those 4 guys were the big names. And it's an acquired taste. Not everybody likes the hard-hitting style and all that stuff. I mean, I don't mind it, but it's like I don't wanna see that all the time. I'd rather see, like,
Mhm.
story moments, like, promos and, like, like, it's a storyline progression, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, exactly. How many of those matches have like those back and forth elbow spots? Like,
not many. It's just 2 guys just beating the crap out of each other.
you know.
There's a reason MJF said he would never go there. There's there's a reason he said he would never go to it because it's an acquired taste, and he knows that, and he knows he's not gonna get that much exposure if he goes there, so he's like, "Screw it, I'm not gonna go there."
Yeah, definitely. So my next question to you is, how do you think this whole CM Punk on Raw is gonna affect Tony Khan, if it does at all?
I think it'll affect him not that much, like 10 like, there's probably that, like, 20% in his mind, it's like, "Fuck, why did I fire this guy?" You know what I mean? Like, "Why did I do this?" But then there's the 80% like, I'm the leader of the company. I have to do what's best for my company, that kind of a thing. So I don't think it should affect him. But now but the thing is, and everybody said this was gonna happen as soon as he came back, if he came back at all, they're gonna paint every news wrestling journalist is gonna try and say, "Oh, why would you bring him back?" He's and then they're gonna release stories. And so far, 3 stories have came out that Brian Danielson was the lead guy on the discipline committee that fired him, and that John Moxley said, "I watched the promo and said, I you don't know what you want to know what I thought about it." So again, they're already trying to diminish his return. A-
Yeah,
And you know what? Don't comment on it at all. It's not even worth it. Tony Khan even said it. I really can't legally talk about it, which is the right answer. I mean, you can't really if you don't want to if you can't talk about it, you don't talk about it. And
yeah,
you're I mean, granted, it's a big story in wrestling, but it's like you should be focused on what you're doing, not what the other company is doing. Because then you're going to be like, oh, we're booking against them. It's like, no, dude, like you got some problems right now, like in your company that you need
Yeah,
to sort out. Like, and again, if guys want out, get them the hell out of there. It's
yeah,
not worth it. Like, if guys don't want to be there, tell them to take a hike. It's not worth it. It's
yeah.
really not. Like, if it's not worth it to spend this money for somebody who doesn't want to be there, and he's just like, I'm just biding my time so I can go back to WWE. That's literally all it is.
It really is. Like you're just holding them hostage. I don't get that. And I'm seeing on Twitter people are posting like, oh, AJ Styles and Matt Riddle's gonna be all elite and Drew
No, no,
McIntyre.
no.
It's like, bro,
Let
why can't you build your own stars? Why do you have
No,
to
and
take
that's a huge
people?
problem. That's the
Like
biggest problem.
that's what every company does, and it doesn't work out. WCW does it. They didn't build their own talent.
No.
Nothing worked out. TNA did it. They didn't build their own talent. Well, they had talent,
They did
but
have talent, but
they
they
just
didn't
put
use
them
them in the
below.
correct
Yeah,
way.
exactly.
Like, they didn't book Joe and AJ were only world champion maybe, like, 3 times between them.
Yeah,
Definitely more. AJ was probably champ more than that, but Joe, I know he was world champ once.
yeah.
But
Like
and
it's
I
just
and I and I get it. You want but, like, pick and choose who you want. You don't sign everybody. And I get it. It gets the people to tune in to see CM Punk, to see Adam Copeland, to see Christian, to see Chris Jericho. But it's like these guys have done these guys are about to hit, most of them are about to hit 50 years old if they're not already there. It is not it like, and you have, I love Christian, but he's the GNT champion. That spot could go to a younger guy.
yeah,
And now
definitely.
Edge is going to fight him for the title. And it's like, dude, like, what the fuck? Like they're 50 years old. This spot could go to somebody else. I get it. They have a name and it's a draw. But again, use your own guys. You have a lot of good guys. But the AEW, there's no AEW's original homegrown guys. And to be honest, outside of Darby, Allen, and MJF, they all kind of suck.
Yeah.
Like,
I
I don't
mean,
like.
Ricky was on his way up, and then I don't know what the fuck happened. Now he's a tag champ. So,
I don't. Yeah, I think Ricky's gonna leave too because he's close with
oh yeah,
Punk and Cody, so he's probably like, "Bye, I'm gonna go over
yeah,
there." I think he's more than likely the next guy to go, and everyone's like, "Oh, like, but AEW signed all these guys." I'm like, first of all, I'm like, yeah, they did, but how many have been booked correctly? And number two, look who WWE has gotten back. They gotten back Cody, Punk, and they signed Jade Cargill. So it's like you already took like three of their biggest stars. Well, I mean, Punk got fired. I don't even think Punk thought he was going to come back. But I think getting all three of them, it's like, dude, those Cody was the EVP, Punk was your biggest draw, and Jade Cargill was your biggest up and coming star. So you
yeah,
lose three big pieces. And I
big
get it. You have a
pieces.
lot of guys to replace them, but it's like, are they? Other than Will Ospreay and Jay White, the rest of them are kind of like, star power wise. It's like that's not clicking. It's not going to
Mm,
be like, and like WWE can make you a star, but also it's like you have to connect with the audience. You can't just go out there and have a banger match. You have to like have a good character and
yes,
cut good promos.
but I feel like some people don't. Some people just like, oh no, like he just has to wrestle and everyone's gonna love
No,
him.
that's not how it works.
No, they're gonna say, "Oh shit," when you do a nice spot, but they're not gonna connect to you emotionally
No,
to like feel a certain way when you say certain things. Like it's different. I don't get it, but
it's
mm,
they're in a very I mean, listen, they're in a good spot, like business wise, but again, I mean, they sold out Wembley. That's good, but your house shows are down. That's bad, and you're getting, and like the report coming out that there are guys there who are like, oh, like this is minor compared to WWE. That's not a good mentality to have. You should want to be able to. You should want to be able to, you know, carve out a niche in this new promotion to get yourself a nice spot. You shouldn't want to be like, "Oh, this place sucks. Like, I want to get the fuck out of here." You shouldn't do that.
yeah, not at all. I mean, for QT Marshall, he already left.
Yeah, and he was like, well, I think the big reason he left. I think I think he had a beef with Punk because Punk didn't like the way Hobbs was being presented, like on Collision. So he said, drop the QTV stuff with him, let him just be a beast. And that's what they did. And he's done pretty well since then. I don't really like him in the Don Callis family because I think he's just another guy now and he could be a beast. But
Yeah.
I I think,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's not a huge loss because he's really not on TV, but he's more of a behind the scenes guy.
Yeah.
But he had a different vision. He believes that it should be like, it should be story driven and not like New Japan where it's just a good match. It should be like it should be stories. Like Hangman's story was like the best story they had. And
Yeah.
then that was a year and a half ago. And then it's like, okay, what storyline can get me to come back and watch this show?
Nothing. They just think good matches will do it.
Exactly.
And
But
oh man,
it can
like
having good matches can get you far, but at a certain point, it's like, all right, where is this leading though? Because if you have all these, like at the tournament they're doing now, I mean, obviously it's going to be a new champion and all this stuff, but it's like, what is the champion going to do? Is it going to elevate him? If it's Swerve, then you elevate him to the main event.
yeah,
If it's Swerve or like Jay White, or if it's Moxley, it's like, why? What's the point of him winning? Because he's already a made guy. Danielson, the same thing. I mean, I would do it Swerve versus Danielson. So then you can have Danielson make a new star. Like his Swerve's up there, but he hasn't, obviously the Hangman match was incredible, but he needs that rub from like a established guy that like even the casuals like, no, and like, okay, he beat this guy. This guy's legit. Like that's what
yeah.
we should do.
I thought they were gonna do that when he versed Daniel Bryan for the TNT title shot, but he lost to him.
I mean, it could be like a potential angle where he's like, oh, I'm gonna go after him now because he beat me for the title, and now I'm gonna beat him in the tournament.
Yeah, they could do that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, do you think that Punk got himself fired on purpose?
No, I don't think so. I think he was gonna legitimately try to make it work, and I think very like after August, he's like, yeah, no, this is like when August hit, he's probably like, this isn't gonna work out. So then after, there was, and it sucks because every time he did something, it was in the dirt sheets. It was in the media. And he's probably like, you know what? Screw this. It's like, it's enough. And then the Jack Perry thing. And then he did that on the biggest pay-per-view they've had with the biggest attendance, And also, this is another thing. If you were going to fire Punk, you should have fired Jungle Boy for also jeopardizing the show.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like, dude, like I get it. Like Punk shouldn't have beat him up. It probably wasn't the smartest move to beat him up. But dude, like he just went off script, and it's such a horrible look for your company. Imagine that you go off script in the middle of on the pre-show of the biggest pay-per-view you've done. And then you're like, okay, now I don't have an opening match because CM Punk's about to kill somebody or me.
Yeah, bro. That just speaks to like you can do whatever you want there.
No, exactly. And that's why I think Punk's going to behave himself with them, because he knows if he fucks around, he's going to get fired because they're not going to put up with it.
Yeah. I thought with Punk's promo, I thought it was like a bigger like punch in the gut to like Tony and them that he didn't like acknowledge them like as bitter as like people expected him to. I think like him taking the high road was like so left field that it like I don't know. I feel like that like would affect them more because he's just kind of treating them like a little brother,
The best response is no response, because they're gonna just. I mean, he just buried them. He didn't even sell the fact that he came back.
Yeah,
that he was in another promotion. He didn't even mention it.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, like they're obviously WWE is not going to be like, let's promote the fact that this guy that we just brought in got shit canned because he was starting fights backstage. You're not going to want to promote that because it's like, oh god, they brought in all this drama. But I think him not talking about them. I mean, or there's 3 letters called a non-disclosure, 3 words, non-disclosure agreement where he can't legally talk about them, or he's going to get sued. But
Mhm.
I think the fact that this guy said all of this shit, that's the part that, like, is crazy to me because, like, the he gets fired on his wedding day, he walks out of the company, they don't they don't talk about him for 10 years. He just comes back, because it's in Chicago, like, I really didn't think it was gonna happen. I was like, "Yeah, no, he's probably not gonna come back." Then his
Yeah.
music hit, like, I like, "God damn you, Triple H." Like, you got me again. With that lower third graphic, I'm like, "Okay, it's the end of the show." And I know that he's done it in NXT before, but I'm like, "He's not gonna do it." And then the static hit. I'm like, "You son of a bitch."
Yeah, bro, that
Best kept secret ever, by the way.
yeah.
Nobody knew. Like, people kinda knew, but, like, nobody actually knew. It was like, "Oh, yeah, he's coming back," but, like, even those people were probably like, "No, he's not there."
Yeah, all
That
the journalists were like, "Oh, he's definitely not coming."
Yeah,
This and
exactly, but
that.
because Triple H I think Triple H kept it so close to the vest that only him and Nick Khan knew. He
Mhm.
said the people who run the new company, TKO, they didn't even know until he walked out. Like,
That's
can you imagine, like, "Oh, yeah, I just hired a wrestler." "Oh, who is it?" "Oh, CM Punk." "What? What
yeah,
did
what?
this come from?" But
That's
I feel
crazy.
like it was I called it once he got fired. I'm like, "He's gonna go back to WWE." 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm like, "There's money to be made there." Because and then he was a if it wasn't out that he visited Raw in April while he was off because he was hurt,
Mhm.
I think he knew that he's like, "Just in case it doesn't work out, because I'm gonna try and make this work because gonna try and be professional. Just in case, I wanna see what I can do." And then everything happened as it happened, and now he's with the WWE again, and the bi
He's home.
Oh god, I loved seeing people freaking out on
They
online.
were
Everyone
bugging.
was like, this is bullshit." Like, I'm like, "Dude, he's a character. He's playing a character. He's going to say anything." And I think he's always been this guy who has a chip on his shoulder. And I think when he finally got, like, free reign, he's like, "I don't know what to do. I really don't know." I like a structure. That's why, like, a structured environment in WWE can be like, "Oh, yeah, like, like, it won't be as bad as I thought it was." Because he probably went there and it's like, "This is like amateur hour compared to there." Like, I mean, I don't think he ever thought in a million years he was gonna go back. There was no way. But,
Nah.
I think after everything happened, he's probably like, "I'm probably not gonna last there much longer. I'll do what I have to, put over who I can put over," even though he didn't put anybody over. But,
Mhm.
um,
Yeah.
my
What were you gonna say?
my only question how is the if I as long as he doesn't fuck up what they've built, I think it's fine. And I don't think anybody is gonna give a shit if he fucks up. Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if he fucks up, he's out of there.
Man, he's on a short leash.
Yeah, exactly, and he
I
knows it, and I mean, like, dude, listen, there's a lot of money to be made with him and Rollins. There's a beef there, there's a beef with Reigns. He could do a
Reigns,
bunch of stuff there. I mean, it's a lot more
Miz,
money.
Kevin Owens.
Uh,
I heard sources that he might want to try NXT too and get some people over, which would
I mean, I don't know because I don't think if you have Punk, you don't put him on NXT. I feel like he's not gonna do that, but I can see him
yeah.
wrestling Gunther and putting him over at some point, like the classic.
God, holy
But
smokes.
I mean, there's intriguing. It's like, oh, we had so much more intriguing matchups in AEW. I'm like, yes, because they have a bigger roster. But
Hmm.
WWE, he can actually get a lot of traction behind him. Like, he's more than likely going to main event WrestleMania
Oh yeah,
with
him and
Rollins.
Seth are probably night one.
Yeah,
Definitely.
exactly. And if they're not, then Jesus Christ, what the hell happened that he's not
Yeah.
main eventing? But he's more than likely going to finally main event to WrestleMania with Rollins, who's never main evented. That's got to mean something to them. Like, yeah, and Rollins knows that's his best shot at getting at WrestleMania with an opponent and in the main event because everybody wants to see him versus Punk. Everyone's already saying it. Like after Survivor Series, when the video is Seth flipping him off and telling him to go F himself, like everyone wants to see that match. Everyone. I don't care if you're an AEW fan, WWE fan, you want to see that match. Like that's the match
Mhm.
that should get Punk back into it. I don't think it should be for the title because I
Mm-mm.
think after Sammy's promo on Raw, he should be challenging for the world championship. I think, and people get mad at me when I say this because there's obviously other people to win the Royal Rumble, but I don't think Cody's going to do it again because I think it's too much, and you can't give him two back-to-back Rumble wins. Um, Sami Zayn winning the Royal Rumble would be so much of a better story. I have this all plotted out in my head. Like I know this is like my booking. This is how I would book it. So
Mhm.
Gable beats Gunther for the IC belt.
Ooh.
Um, Brock comes back. Him and Gunther at WrestleMania. He beats Brock. And then at that pay-per-view in Germany, Bash at Berlin, Sami Zayn beats Damian Priest for the title because no one's going to buy Damian Priest as a world champion for that long. He's going to be a transitional guy.
Yeah.
And then it sucks to say, but that's unfortunately the reality of the situation. Or if it's Drew, because they're already having a couple of matches on Raw, so I don't think they're going to go that direction. But you have Sammy win it, hold it for like 3 months, wait for that Germany pay-per-view, have Gunther beat the shit out of him there. And then Gunther is your world heavyweight champion going into SummerSlam or whenever that Germany pay-per-view is.
I would love to see Gunther with that belt, but
He's going to get that belt next
yeah,
year.
at that show, he's definitely gonna get the belt.
Yeah, I think, and plus, you know what? 500 days is IC belt. With the IC belt, you've wrestled pretty much everybody in the company. At that point, drop it to somebody, move on to the main event scene, wrestle Brock. Then,
Imagine he pulls a Samoa Joe and just drops the belt. It's like,
oh,
I want to go for the world
I
title.
hated that. I'm sorry. I mean, listen, you nerf Keith Lee
Bad,
like that, and it's
bad,
like,
bad.
oh, okay, I'm just gonna vacate the title because I'm so much better than everyone else. It's like, dude, you just not buried him, but it's just such a bum angle. It's like, dude, you could have been the champion, or you could have just dropped it to Keith Lee in like a
Mhm.
bullshit fashion. You
Yeah.
didn't have to vacate the whole belt and make it mean jack shit.
Doesn't mean a thing.
But I would love to see Sammy win the Rumble. After that, I guess Cody. I do not want Punk to win the Rumble because I think if Punk wins, it's not a good look because he comes back, you got to give him the Royal Rumble. Doesn't make any
Yeah,
sense.
I would like to see him and Seth like 1 and 2 or something like that, and maybe Seth takes him out last minute. Or,
Apparently, they're gonna run it at the Rumble, which I'm like, oh, I'd rather save it for WrestleMania because that's a lot of money that you're gonna lose. And like, I would do it. I mean, probably Triple H's feeling is that he's gonna have Punk beat him because you can't have Punk come in on a loss because then it just makes him look like crap. Even though it could be like a stick it to like, oh yeah, you left for 10 years, go, like give him the finger. But I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough call because now you have him. It's like, okay, how do you book him?
yeah, I mean that's what I bet what they're thinking about now. I could see maybe Punk wins at the Rumble and somehow they stretch it to Mania or something.
Or they just say screw it and have Priest cash in during that match, and then or just have it be a DQ finish, have Priest win the belt, and then just do Punk and Seth just straight up at WrestleMania. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like getting him to WrestleMania is the tricky part because what do you do with him? Obviously, you put him in the Royal Rumble. You obviously put him in the Royal Rumble.
Mhm.
But up until then, it's just very questionable booking. Like, what do you do? I think Cody's going to win the Elimination Chamber and then get his number one contender status for WrestleMania that way. Because I think you can't use a guy 2 times to win a Royal Rumble. Because I don't think anybody should win a Rumble more than twice unless he's like absolutely necessary.
So you think they're gonna have an elimination chamber for like a number one contender?
Yeah, I do because Roman's not going to be on it.
Definitely not.
And I think the way it's looking, it's going to be Randy and Roman at the Royal Rumble because that's how they set it up last night. And he's going to be on SmackDown this week, which thank God because they need him on there because Raw is just too stacked with guys and he needs to go to SmackDown. Uh, but I think it's just getting Punk to Mania and knowing what he's gonna do, and it's like, okay, now we know like what the end game is.
Yeah.
As
Not
as long as Cody is facing Roman again and Cody beats him, I have no complaints. Have Punk do whatever the hell he wants, but do
not
not
gonna
let.
lie. I wanna see a Punk and a
I do,
Logan Paul
I do too,
segment.
but I don't think it should be. I think it should be later on.
Yeah.
But I think Cody needs to have his moment to establish him as the face of the company because
Oh, definitely.
Roman is pretty much almost retired, and Cody does everything for the company. He's like a flag bearer for the company. Let him be the face of the company, the top baby face, who, by the way, they've botched for 10 years. They can't get a baby face that the crowd actually wants to do, except Daniel Bryan, and they didn't even want to do that. So
Yeah.
let him be the ultra baby face that everybody loves, have him win the title, and then call it a day. That's all you got to do. But do not let Punk challenge Roman at WrestleMania because people will be people will just shit on the match, and that's not what you want. You
Mm-mm.
don't want people to boo your match. It's like, oh, we get a
Yeah.
guy who wrestles every 3 months against a guy who literally just came back for 10 years because he got into a fight with another company, got into backstage fights with the other company. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't see Punk going for any titles.
I
Well, like at least winning any titles,
I
I'd
think he'll
say.
challenge for titles, but like
Yeah, he's not gonna win any.
and I'm
Uh,
sure he's gonna be like, they're gonna be like, listen, you got to put this guy over, and he's like, well, what if I don't want to? Well, then you're out of here. I think you're gonna have to put these guys over. You came back. We're not in charge of you because you can do it basically what you want. But it's such a
mm,
what WWE has done this last year and building the product and like getting and like being selective of who. I still think they should have signed Jay White. I think he would have been not much better used, like, as he is in AEW because he is have a feature he's in the tournament and he just fought for the title.
yeah, he lost to a one-legged man.
Yeah,
So
and the booking aside, I think he could have been on SmackDown as a decent mid-card heel and, like, gotten there eventually, but, like, I think that's the only one where I'm like, "Okay, why didn't you sign him?" But you bring up Dragon Lee, you sign Nick Aldis, who's probably gonna wrestle at some point, you sign Jade Cargill, who's probably gonna be one of your next big stars. You get Punk back, you get Randy back. Also, another thing I wanna talk about
R-Truth?
R-Truth, of course. R-Truth coming back too. But I still think that Orton and Punk, like, coming back, because listen, everyone loves Adam Cole and everyone loves Daniel Bryan, but you kind of figured, um, that like they were going to come at some point. You had no idea CM Punk was coming. And Randy, the problem I have with Randy's return is that if they had done it as a surprise, but they couldn't because they were in Chicago. If they were in any other place, they would have done it as a surprise, and it would have been great because you knew he was coming out. And but when he did come out, everyone's like, "Yes, let's go!" Like, and having them return, like two of the biggest stars in wrestling history, come back. That's like established guys. Like obviously Daniel Bryan's established, and Adam Cole is like hard, hardcore fans know who he is, but that moment, that's the best pay-per-view moment of the year for sure.
Definitely.
I
Definitely.
it's just Punk is just obviously like you got to just see what happens. Because he could there's a bunch of stuff that could happen. He could get hurt. He can get fired again, which I don't think is going to happen
Yeah.
because
He can
if
go to
he get
business for
listen,
himself.
I was telling somebody this the other day. I'm like, listen, WrestleMania is like 4 or 5 months away. If he can't behave himself being a part-timer, and he gets fired, then he's not doing anything else in this business.
Yeah,
He
no.
almost went to TNA. I mean, I if they got him, that would have been great. Like you
It's a
get an
gr
established star.
that would
Yeah,
have been tremendous for them.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, listen, they're gonna get their own little audience soon. I'm telling people. Now that they're back to TNA, if they just need a couple more like established guys. But the problem is
mhm.
they can't. You know what? They're gonna be like Ring of Honor was like back in the day. Like all the great wrestlers are there, but then like the established guys are like in AEW or they have big money and WWE. But
Yeah.
we'll see. That's why when we were texting last night, I was like, no, Tony should be like, I am not signing any more guys unless they have been a world champion, can are in a proven draw, and that's it. I am not signing Dolph Ziggler. I am not signing Shelton Benjamin. I am not.
Hold on. You know Dolph Ziggler's gonna be there. His
Well,
brother's
his
there.
brother's
He's
there,
friends with everyone.
but I
They're all
think it's
friends.
so it like I think it's ridiculous to sign him now because he's 40. And I get it. Like, oh, great. Like Dolph
Mhm.
Ziggler's there, but like you don't need Mustafa. Mustafa Ali should go to TNA and
TNA,
be it.
yeah.
He'll be an X division champion. Like it'll be like, and it'll get over, and then he can be like, I can leverage myself and get better deals.
Yeah,
That's
he
what he
could be
should
a
do.
world
Riddle's going to
champion,
TNA.
really.
I don't think AEW is gonna touch him because they're not gonna like it. But
Yeah.
Shelton Benjamin, I think would probably end up in AEW too. But like another thing they do that pisses me off, it's like don't feature Ring of Honor on television. Have Ring of Honor be its own thing, and then have like your own roster for that. You don't have to have these crossovers because then people are gonna be like, oh well, now I'm not gonna watch Ring of Honor. I don't care. Like
That
it's
once they started bringing in those Ring of Honor matches, that's when they lost me completely. You
yeah,
brought in a whole bunch of titles while
and
you're trying to build these other titles, which like so both of your titles don't mean anything because you never fully built your AEW championships, and,
no.
and and you're trying to usher in these other titles, putting these ROH titles in the main event. What about like I don't know, it's just
The titles that actually mean something in that company are the men's because of who's held it, and the oh god, and the international title, the one that Orange Cassidy has, even though he's but
I'm
like
not.
I mean I don't really I mean listen, he made it like he was doing open challenges. That's what I like. Open challenges with good matches, that's fine.
Yeah, it is fine, but he was doing it for so
Yeah, I
long.
know. It gets stale after a
There was no
while.
feuds. Like, what
No, he was
feuds did he
just
really
defending the
have?
belt. That's why I wanted to if I don't know.
Like, that's what,
It's
like,
only
he's a great
it's only
worker. What
it's
feuds
only
did he
really
have?
just the uh the world title, but like MJF's hurt and he has a torn labrum, and I'm like, oh great, now you have to put Joe. I mean, if he doesn't put Joe over, like then you're like, dude, like what are you doing? You're just gonna have this guy babyface all your heels? No, dude, let Samoa Joe win the title. You'd get, I mean, again, like let MJF heal because we all know he's not gonna leave
Mhm.
and then like have Joe be this beast and then have him come back and win the title from him like that. Have a vengeful babyface being like, I'm gonna get my belt back. And then or you have Adam Cole turn on him and they feud. But I think if Adam Cole didn't get hurt, they were probably gonna be he was probably gonna cost him at this match. Or he does it anyway, and then he comes back like in eight whatever he comes back from the surgery and
Mhm.
then faces him for the title. But I don't know. They have two
They're just gonna have Adam Cole face Samoa Joe in his place.
the whole problem with it, it's like it just doesn't feel like a cohesive show at times, and like MJF's feuding with like four people, like he's feuding with earlier in November, it was like, oh, he's feuding with Kenny, he's feuding with Samoa Joe, he's feuding with Wardlow, he's feuding with the Bullet Club Gold. It's like, dude, this is way too much overexposure for your world champion. Like,
Yeah.
have him just be focused on one person.
And doing and having all these obstacles kind of minimizes like Jay White. Cause oh,
Exactly. No,
like,
he
bro, you got Samoa Joe. Like, I feel like the Samoa Joe angle was way more important than the Jay White thing, and you
yeah, I
make
think
him look like a kind of a scrub.
no, because like how are you gonna recover? And I think it came out later on that he wasn't happy with how he was booked, and I wouldn't be either. You just lost to a
Mhm.
guy with one leg.
One
And
leg.
how does it make any sense? This is the part of the booking that I hate for the passion. It's like, okay, he's hurt. Adam Cole is gonna defend the title. And it's like, if MJF hurt his ankle to the severity where he can't defend the championship, you're gonna have a guy do it with a broken fucking ankle, and he's gonna defend the title. He's gonna get killed, and
It
it doesn't
makes
make any
no
sense. It's like,
sense.
oh wow, oh, and then MJF comes back. Oh, we couldn't have seen that coming. It's a horrible booking. It's
It,
horrible
it's
booking.
horrible.
It's
It's
like,
terrible.
what? It's like, why? You're like you said, you're minimalizing Jay White. It doesn't mean any sense to do that. You're just killing this guy's momentum.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
pitiful.
hopefully he has a good showing in the tournament and he can get people back on his side and stuff. But it's like, dude, like, why? Just why? Why book him like that? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I got Kingston winning that tournament. Uh, like,
I
I
mean,
don't
I
know.
wouldn't be like I would love for Eddie to get his, get a title in AEW. Wait, who's even I gotta check who's in this tournament. Uh
Who was it?
uh,
Eddie, Danielson, Swerve, Roosh.
uh they have a lot of good people in it, but I mean
Yeah,
Mark,
they're all good.
I would man. I would have Daniel Garcia win it. Not win the whole thing, but I would have him get to the like at least close to the final. Because he's like an up and coming guy, and it's a
Mhm.
contract year for him. If he has a good showing, he can get a nice offer from WWE because he's. I mean, again, like you don't want to lose these guys. Like you really want to lose like the. That's the problem. If they don't book their young guys good, they're gonna be like, screw this. I'm gonna go to WWE and make a bunch of more money
Yeah,
and be
definitely.
and be probably a bigger star. And then I'm gonna come back here and you're gonna pay me even more money.
Yeah, that's what happened with WCW.
Exactly. And then
Eddie
we'll see.
Guerrero and all of them went over to WWE.
And then they made their money. But
Yeah.
I want to see Swerve win it based off of like he needs it. Like I think if he doesn't win the tournament, it's like okay, like come on, like
Hmm.
uh, like
But
the
I think Swerve should get the world title. I think he should be after
well, he could also
whoever.
use it as a catapult to get to the world title. That's what I'm thinking.
So is he gonna drop the belt like Joe and be like, "Yo, I want that world title, not the
It's
ROH world title, but that
see like
AEW world title."
I love wrestling tournaments. I think if they're booked well, they're great. And I think having like the talent pool that they do, it can make for a lot of intriguing matches. But I just in 2023, and I love this guy, don't get me wrong, but using Jay Lethal in a tournament, when you have other guys who could have benefited from that spot, like Keith Lee or like a up and coming guy, like dude, like I get it. You need people to eat pins, and he's
Hmm.
probably going to be the guy to eat the pins.
Yeah,
But
it's tragic.
I know, but
Jay Lethal, bro.
yeah, Jay Lethal and Mark Briscoe, and then the other three are like it's Roosh, Jay White, John Moxley, and Swerve Strickland. Obviously, the Moxley and Strickland are the guys who are probably going to be like the top point production there, and then you have Roosh, who's a sleeper to win it, and then
I
Jay
love
White, who
Rouge.
just came fall for the title, who's probably not going to win it, but hopefully he has a good showing. And then Briscoe and Lethal are there to just eat pins.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
I mean, Eddie would be an interesting choice, but I think in terms of guys who need it, I wouldn't book Andrade to win it because I doubt he even wants to be there. So screw him. Claudio could be interesting. Uh,
Mm,
I don't think Danielson should win it because
no.
he's gonna unless they're like, oh, let's just give him the belt and have him face Okada for it, and then that's their way of getting Okada to sign with AEW. But I don't think that's the way they're gonna go. I think
Nah.
more than likely it's gonna be Swerve or I mean I couldn't see Eddie. I could see Eddie Kingston winning it too. I'm kind of on board with that one. The rest of them, it's kind of like Garcia's too young, Lethal and Briscoe are too not believable enough. Roosh is probably out of the big guys. He's probably a sleeper to win it. But after that, it's probably just those big four: Danielson, Eddie, Moxley, or Strickland. Those are probably the guys who are going to win it most likely.
Yeah, I definitely see Eddie going all the way. For one, he's dropping belts, even
Yeah,
though I don't think
exactly.
with anything, but he's putting those belts on the line, and also like he loves the tournaments. He was in the G1,
Yeah,
he
exactly.
so and they don't show him much love in AEW. So I think this will be like his time to
Well,
actually
when they
get
first
that.
came out, like in 2020, he was on it all the time, and then like he had that feud with Moxley, and then he turned babyface, and everyone's like, okay. And then that he was like back and forth, back and forth. He was there, he wasn't there, and then
I
now
think
it's
that
like,
whole Sammy Guevara thing kind of
yeah, no, that
soured
definitely
him.
didn't help him. That definitely did not help him at all.
Yeah, but all right, time. I gotta get out of here.
All right.
Um, it was good talking to you. Good
Uh,
talking about
you
Punk
as
and
well. Mhm.
talking about AEW. God help them, and God
Absolutely.
help the fan base because
Definitely God help the
Oh,
fan
the fan
base.
bases are crazy. But all right, everyone. I hope you like, subscribe, and comment. Please do that. I need more activity on these posts. So, all right, guys, I'm out of here. It's your boy. Have a good day. Peace.